In the depths of the city, we find a strange parasite that depends entirely on another living being for its reproduction. Men. Okay, before you get super offended, hear me out and ask yourself a question. Why we have sex? It may seem a super stupid question, but how about I tell you that sexual reproduction is actually quite, how to say without offending those who reproduce sexually? Crappy? Lame? But also, it's not. It's weird to explain as a lot of things in biology, but the idea is that sexual reproduction lets species proliferate a lot more. Like, it kinda makes sense. One single individual can produce two other individuals, and then we have stunks. In comparison, in sexual reproduction you need two individuals to produce one. Like, how does that match up? However, there are lots of organisms who perform sexual reproduction. 95% of eukaryotes, for instance, are able to perform it. Why? Why is such a bestseller among this domain of life? The most common answer is that sexual reproduction is not preferable because doing it can cause a reduction of genetic diversity within the species. And yeah, it's in part true. Sexual reproduction can generate diversity and variability, but it doesn't always lead to that. If the two parents are pretty much identical, they won't produce as much diversity as you expect. It's actually a lot more complicated than that, but let's leave it there for now. Maybe I will make a video later about how sexual reproduction originated. For now, all you have to know is that the most accepted theory for why we reproduce sexually is the Red Queen theory. Why the name? Because Alice in the novel of Alice Through the Looking Glass did a "Run, bitch! Run!" to just stay in place. And basically, that is what organisms have to do, evolve as quickly as possible to be able to do the basic thing of surviving. And sexual reproduction is actually pretty great to do that. You see, sexual reproduction is based on the union of two cells that we call gametes that have just one copy of chromosomes, half of DNA, so that we can create a new living being that has two copies of chromosomes, as most organisms need to have to exist. The fusion of these two cells is a zygote. The evolution of gametes is particular. At the beginning we had gametes that were about the same size of a cell, and moved so that they could find each other and fuse together. And don't get me wrong, this type of gametes still exists, but now we are more familiarized with the evolved form of gametes, male and female ones. The ones humans usually use to reproduce themselves. How we got there? These two gametes are defined by size. We have a little one and a big one, this one being the male one, and the second one the female one. Basically, that is how you define sex, at least with gametes, because sex is also pretty complicated. Generally speaking, the bigger the gametes are, the better, because it has more resources to keep itself alive, and when the other gamete comes along to create the zygote, better yet. Two cells now fusion together to have lots of resources. So organisms start to produce bigger gamete size and passing his trait to next generations. As with bigger gametes, the zygote had a lot more chances of surviving, while others were a lot more likely to die as a result of shortage in resources. That's how female gametes, or eggs, were born. However, other organisms saw an opportunity in this and decided, hey, I can monetize that. So they realized that they can invest way less resources, and so they start to make their gametes smaller and smaller. Ladies and gentlemen, male gametes, sperms. Obviously, this is a bad play for the organism that produces eggs. They invest way too much and receive very little. But it was too late. If the female organisms try to produce smaller gametes, they won't proliferate, as sperms are already too small and can't provide enough resources for the zygote to continue living after copulation. Catch-22. And so, if they can't go any lower, there is only one way to go, and it's up. Organisms producing eggs continue to grow to outcompete the few organisms that still produce medium-sized gametes, and that was doomed for this class of organisms, as now you have sperm cells that don't invest as much in their formation and so can be produced in larger quantity, while eggs are way better at keeping the zygote alive than medium-sized gametes. Medium-sized gametes have to pick a side or disappear. This way we polarize the size and we have male and female gametes, short and small. But you see, Basically, male gametes are pretty much parasites. They give nothing more than half of DNA, and the egg of the female gives all resources, and that is basically how it works for all organisms that have a clear distinction of sex. But you think this stops here? No, sweetie. Some males are even more parasitic. Anglerfish present an extreme case of sexual dimorphism, that is the physical differences that males and females of the same species present from each other. So you see, this is the female anglerfish, the first trauma that some of us had while watching a movie.
Your best friend. Good feelings gone.
And this is the male anglerfish. Yeah, they seem completely different species. However, this is not the most interesting thing. The topic to remark here is the way these fishes reproduce. I mean, can you imagine them doing it as we do? What the male does in search of the female, and once it finds her, it bites her and slowly fusions with her. The circulatory system of the female will provide all the nutrients for him. Meanwhile, the male can give sperm constantly to the female, which is pretty useful in a place where you can see shit and running into a potential mate is hard as fuck. Yeah, isn't love beautiful? Thanks for watching, lovely people. Subscribe, s'il vous plaît. Follow me on Instagram. Maybe I will open a TikTok to do a little more content there, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you have questions, I don't know, about biology or something, you can propose a topic in the comments, maybe I will pick it later. So yep, bye bye, love you!